You've stretched, you've sipped water, you've even tried the famous banana, and the cramps still strike like a lightning knot at 3 in the morning. The gap few people talk about is that night cramps aren't just a potassium thing. After 50, the balance between potassium, magnesium, calcium, and fluid shifts, nerves fire more easily, and some medicines nudge minerals off kilter. The stake is big: uninterrupted sleep, morning energy, steady balance, and the independence to walk without fear of that sudden seize. A tiny step you can take tonight: add a small, mineral-smart snack before bed, a half cup of plain yogurt with a pinch of salt and a glass of water, and note whether your calves feel quieter by the third night. Those who make food work for their nerves often sleep through, wake clearer, and move easier before breakfast. Those who don't may keep chasing miracle stretches while their muscles are simply underfueled with the right electrolytes. Our promise here is practical: 3 everyday foods that many sports dietitians and healthy aging researchers recommend for muscle calm, plus a simple plan to fit them into your day safely. Why the banana fix isn't always enough. As we age, we naturally produce less stomach acid and often absorb minerals less efficiently. Diuretic medicines can wash out magnesium and potassium. Low dairy intake can leave calcium short. Long days of sitting tighten calves and feed the cycle. It's not that bananas are bad. It's that one food rarely solves a multi-factor puzzle. Tonight, scan your dinner plate. Is there a balance of potassium-rich plants, magnesium-rich seeds or greens, and a gentle calcium source? If not, don't worry. You'll have a clear path in moments. Marjorie, 71, from Ohio, dreaded the moment she'd point her toes in bed and feel that stab, like a wire twisting under the skin. Her nights smelled of menthol rub and the faint, metallic tang of heating pipes. Her husband could hear the quick hiss of her breath when the knot hit. She did the classic things: drank more water, stretched, tried tonic water. Nothing lasted. A neighbor suggested a supper baked potato with the skin, a drizzle of olive oil, and a sprinkle of salt, and a small bowl of plain yogurt before bed. The first nights were quiet, but not perfect. By the fourth, she woke after sunrise, surprised by the heavy comfort in her calves, like the muscles had finally sighed. What this means for a 50-plus listener: combining potassium, magnesium, and calcium foods can steady nerves better than a single hero food. First, check your evening. Is dinner early and light? Next, add a potassium anchor, a medium baked potato with the skin or a cup of roasted squash. Then layer in a magnesium sprinkle, a small handful of pumpkin seeds. Finally, finish with a calcium note: yogurt, kefir, or fortified plant yogurt if dairy doesn't suit you. Keep portions modest and steady day to day so your body learns the rhythm. A gentle safety note: if you live with kidney, heart, or endocrine conditions, or you take diuretics, ask your clinician about ideal potassium and magnesium intake. We'll keep advice food first and cautious. One small question to open this journey: which of these 3, potato, pumpkin seeds, or yogurt, already lives in your kitchen? Drop a quick word. Your idea might be the missing piece for someone else's night. Potassium helps nerves reset between signals and supports healthy muscle contractions. After 60, many of us eat less produce and drink less water in the evening, a recipe for twitchy calves. Potassium from whole foods arrives with fiber and fluid, so it lands gently. This matters if you're falling asleep to little spasms that don't become full cramps but steal rest just the same. Gerald, 66, from Leeds, used to mow the lawn in the late afternoon, then pick at a small dinner. By bedtime, his calves fluttered like a trapped moth. His daughter suggested he add a simple supper potato with the skin, a splash of olive oil, and a light pinch of salt for flavor and fluid balance. The first night, not much change. On the third, he noticed the tingling fade as he read. On the 7th, he swung his legs from bed and felt steady, as if the ground rose to meet him instead of wobbling away. The potato became his ritual, a warm, earthy anchor to quiet nerves. What this means for a 50-plus listener: an evening potassium source can reduce nighttime calf excitability and support deeper sleep. First, plan your plate. Half is plants, led by a potassium-rich side: potato with skin, roasted beets, winter squash, or white beans. Next, sip a glass of water while you cook. Muscles relax best when minerals ride with fluid. Then season for balance. A sprinkle of salt helps keep fluid where it belongs, especially if you sweat during the day. Finally, keep portions moderate to avoid reflux at night. If you've ever thought, I drink water and still cramp, consider whether minerals actually made it onto your plate. Hydration without electrolytes is like a key without a door. Gentle caution. High potassium foods can be problematic in certain kidney or heart conditions. If that's you, choose lower potassium options and confirm targets with your clinician. The goal is calm, not complication. Small favor. If a supper potato or lentil bowl has helped you, would you share one line about it? Your note might be the nudge another viewer needs to give dinner a second look. And if you're finding this helpful, you're welcome to subscribe. We build every episode for your sleep, balance, and independence. If potassium is the anchor, magnesium is the quiet conductor that waves the cramp away. It helps muscles release after a contraction and supports the enzymes your cells use to make energy. Many adults over 60 don't meet their daily needs, especially if they rely on refined grains and skip seeds or greens. Quick pointer before the story. Tonight, add 2 tablespoons of pumpkin seeds to whatever you're already eating, salad, soup, even yogurt, and watch whether the after-dinner twitch fades. The mineral that whispers, let go. Magnesium sits at the junction where nerves hand the baton to muscles. When it's low, the signal to release can be sluggish, and a small twitch can snowball into a hard knot. You won't feel a magnesium ache. You'll feel a suspicious pattern, cramps after busy days, worse on nights when dinner was light. Anita, 70, from Vancouver, kept a tidy kitchen that smelled faintly of coffee and lemon oil. She loved toast for dinner. Quick, comforting, but her nights were scattered with calf jolts that made her gasp and clutch the sheet. A friend in her walking group handed her a jar of roasted pumpkin seeds and said, 2 spoonfuls at dusk. Anita began sprinkling them onto a bowl of warm spinach with garlic and a squeeze of lemon. The crunch against the soft greens felt satisfying. The warmth settled her. On night 5, she realized she'd drifted from evening news to sleep with no interruptions. Morning steps were quiet, like the floor had turned to felt. What this means for a 50-plus listener: small, steady magnesium from real food can smooth muscle release and reduce night cramp frequency. First, set your magnesium habit at a time you'll remember, late afternoon or with dinner. Next, stock simple sources that don't require cooking: pumpkin seeds, almonds, dark leafy greens, cacao nibs for a square of dark chocolate. Then pair magnesium with a little fat so it absorbs comfortably: olive oil on greens, yogurt under seeds. Finally, keep it daily for a full week. Nerves notice patterns, not one-off attempts. If you're wondering whether a supplement would be faster, many clinicians prefer a food-first approach to avoid stomach upset or interactions. Food carries cofactors your body knows how to use. If you and your clinician choose a supplement later, it should fit your medical picture, not a trend. There's one more piece to calm nerves: calcium, and the way you time it can change the story of your nights. Hold that thought with me a moment longer, and picture your next meal. Where will your handful of pumpkin seeds land today? Calcium isn't just for bones. It's the mineral that helps your muscles start their work, while magnesium helps them stop. Without steady calcium, nerves misfire, and your legs can tighten mid-sleep like wires under tension. Many seniors unknowingly slide into mild calcium shortage after 60 because digestion slows and dairy portions shrink. That's why this mineral is often the quiet missing piece in leg cramp prevention. The mineral that starts and steadies. Think of calcium as a gatekeeper. When levels dip, the gates between nerves and muscles open and close at the wrong times. One too many sparks, and the muscle locks. This happens more easily in older adults who drink less milk, avoid cheese, or take medications that affect absorption. It doesn't take a deficiency, just a consistent trickle below the body's comfort zone. Evelyn, 74, from Oregon, thought milk was for kids. After her hip fracture years earlier, she had cut back on dairy to manage weight. But her calves and feet began cramping at night, especially after gardening. Her doctor suggested a cup of plain yogurt, or a few slices of fortified cheese daily. Evelyn added a creamy Greek yogurt at lunch and steamed broccoli at dinner. Within a week, she noticed fewer nighttime jolts. By the second, she was sleeping through. It felt like my legs finally got the message, she said. What this means for a 50-plus listener: balanced calcium from food, dairy, or plant fortified. Helps nerves fire correctly and muscles release on cue. Instruction block: the evening calcium calm habit. First, choose your gentle calcium source: yogurt, kefir, cottage cheese, or fortified plant milk. Next, enjoy it in the evening, about an hour before bed, when cramps often begin. Then, pair it with magnesium or potassium foods from earlier, a sprinkle of pumpkin seeds, or half a banana on top. Finally, sip a half glass of water afterward to help minerals circulate. This combination nourishes your muscles through the night, and you may notice the difference as early as the third evening. Legs feel heavier, quieter, almost humming with warmth instead of tension. The body's quiet balancing act. For adults past 60, bones act as both structure and storage. They lend calcium when intake is low, but that loan isn't free. Long-term shortfalls can weaken bones and invite cramps. Restoring balance isn't about massive doses. It's about rhythm, small amounts, day by day. If you've ever thought, "I already take a supplement," remember, absorption improves when calcium arrives with real food and vitamin D from sunlight or fortified sources. A morning walk followed by an evening yogurt is nature's simplest partnership. Have you noticed fewer cramps when you include yogurt or greens at dinner? Share your experience. It might guide someone who still believes this mineral is only for bones. So far, we've built a trio: potassium, magnesium, calcium. But real life is rarely about nutrients. It's about habits and tiny choices. The real transformation happens when those choices become part of your rhythm. When dinner, light movement, and calm hydration form a pattern your body can rely on. The rhythm that teaches muscles to relax. For seniors, consistency is the medicine. When meals swing between rich and sparse, the body's mineral balance wobbles. That's when the cramps sneak in. A reliable schedule, 3 modest meals with mineral-rich foods, teaches your nervous system that fuel and rest are predictable, not emergencies. Raymond, 69, from Chicago, worked late shifts most of his life and never ate on time. After retirement, his legs cramped every evening as he watched TV. A nutritionist suggested he steady his day: breakfast with oats and milk, lunch with greens and seeds, dinner with a small potato and yogurt. At first, he rolled his eyes. Too simple. But 3 weeks later, he called it the silence plan. The cramps had stopped, and he could stretch his toes in bed without fear. What this means for a 50-plus listener: your nerves love routine. Same minerals, similar hours, steady hydration. Instruction block: building the leg calm routine. First, plan meals around balance, not size. A source of potassium, vegetables or beans; magnesium, seeds or greens; and calcium, dairy or fortified. Next, stay gently hydrated through the day rather than gulping water at night. Then, before bed, stretch the calves softly. Flex and point your toes 10 times while breathing slow. Finally, take your evening snack slowly, letting warmth settle in your stomach. Food timing signals safety. Within a week, most people notice fewer Charlie horses, better morning balance, and lighter mood. Small food changes can ripple through your entire nervous system. The forgotten link between food and confidence. The real gift of calm legs isn't just sleep, it's confidence. To walk across a cold floor without fear of freezing mid-step, to step into the shower without holding the wall, to travel without wondering whether your calf will seize on the plane. It's a return of trust in your own body. If these stories remind you of someone you love, a parent, a neighbor, share this video with them. Sometimes a single shared idea ends months of sleepless nights. There's a deeper mystery behind these simple foods. They calm not just muscles, but the nervous system itself. Scientists describe this as neuromuscular balance. When older adults eat erratically or rely on convenience foods, their nerves lose this steady electrical rhythm. Magnesium, potassium, and calcium are the electrical peacekeepers. Together, they smooth the spark that travels from brain to leg, when the mind learns to sleep through the legs. Patricia, 72, from Florida, kept a journal of her nights. For months, every entry carried a note. 2:17 a.m. Left calf again. She tried stretching before bed, massaging oils, even sleeping with socks. Nothing helped. Her doctor asked one question. What do you eat before bed? Her answer, tea and crackers. Together they built a new plan. A cup of chamomile with warm milk, a few pumpkin seeds, and half a banana. The flavor was gentle, almost childlike, and something changed. Her journal entry read, slept straight through. What this means for a 50-plus listener. Light, mineral-balanced snacks can quiet the nervous system before sleep as effectively as stretching. How to know you're on the right track. If you wake less often with calf tightness and feel steadier when stepping out of bed, your mineral rhythm is restoring. Legs that feel heavier but calm in the evening usually signal progress. The muscles are staying charged yet relaxed. Keep that pattern steady for 2 weeks. The body remembers habits faster than we think. And if you've felt a small wave of hope reading this, hold on to it, because the final part will tie it all together. How food, water, and timing form a loop that keeps you walking strong, sleeping deep, and waking clear. When you've lived through months or even years of nighttime cramps, you begin to carry an invisible tension, waiting for the next strike. But when your body starts to trust that nourishment is coming, that the minerals it needs will arrive every day, something inside you unclenches. Sleep deepens. Legs stop shouting for help, and life quietly expands again. The morning you stand without fear. Samuel, 68, from North Carolina, had spent half his retirement waking to that familiar bolt of pain in his calf. He used to jump up, limping in the dark, gripping the wall until the knot faded. Then came the morning that changed everything. He woke before dawn, stretched his legs beneath the sheet, and nothing happened. Just soft, warm weight. No seize, no shock. He sat up, stunned by the silence of his own body. His wife later said, "You smiled like you did after our first vacation." What made the difference? 3 small daily foods, a potato at dinner, a handful of pumpkin seeds, and yogurt before bed. That was all. Samuel kept a list on his fridge, eat the calm. Each day felt steadier, each step on the porch easier. What this means for a 50-plus listener. Daily mineral habits can give back not just rest, but confidence in your body's reliability. The science of leg memory. Our muscles remember patterns, not in thought, but in chemistry. When you feed them consistent electrolytes and gentle hydration, they stop bracing for shortage. It's like teaching an anxious child that dinner will always be served. This leg memory builds quietly, night after night, until calm becomes the new normal. So here's a gentle action you can take starting tonight. First, pour a glass of water, stir in a squeeze of lemon for trace minerals, and sip slowly. Next, have your evening snack. A potassium source, half a baked potato or banana, a magnesium sprinkle, pumpkin or sunflower seeds, and a calcium touch, yogurt or fortified milk. Then stretch your calves once, breathe deeply, and lie down with your feet slightly elevated. That's it. The rest belongs to your nerves, your muscles, and the quiet work of balance. Have you ever had a night when your legs finally stayed still, and you realized how much that silence meant? Tell me below. Sometimes, the moment you describe will be someone else's turning point. When you've lived through months or even years of nighttime cramps, you begin to carry an invisible tension, waiting for the next strike. But when your body starts to trust that nourishment is coming, that the minerals it needs will arrive every day, something inside you unclenches. Sleep deepens. Legs stop shouting for help, and life quietly expands again. The morning you stand without fear. Samuel, 68, from North Carolina, had spent half his retirement waking to that familiar bolt of pain in his calf. He used to jump up, limping in the dark, gripping the wall until the knot faded. Then came the morning that changed everything. He woke before dawn, stretched his legs beneath the sheet, and nothing happened. Just soft, warm weight. No seize, no shock. He sat up, stunned by the silence of his own body. His wife later said, "You smiled like you did after our first vacation." What made the difference? 3 small daily foods, a potato at dinner, a handful of pumpkin seeds, and yogurt before bed. That was all. Samuel kept a list on his fridge, eat the calm. Each day felt steadier, each step on the porch easier. What this means for a 50-plus listener: daily mineral habits can give back not just rest, but confidence in your body's reliability. The science of leg memory. Our muscles remember patterns, not in thought, but in chemistry. When you feed them consistent electrolytes and gentle hydration, they stop racing for shortage. It's like teaching an anxious child that dinner will always be served. This leg memory builds quietly, night after night, until calm becomes the new normal. So here's a gentle action you can take starting tonight. First, pour a glass of water, stir in a squeeze of lemon for trace minerals, and sip slowly. Next, have your evening snack: a potassium source, half a baked potato or banana, a magnesium sprinkle, pumpkin or sunflower seeds, and a calcium touch, yogurt or fortified milk. Then stretch your calves once, breathe deeply, and lie down with your feet slightly elevated. That's it. The rest belongs to your nerves, your muscles, and the quiet work of balance. Have you ever had a night when your legs finally stayed still, and you realized how much that silence meant? Tell me below. Sometimes, the moment you describe will be someone else's turning point. Now that your legs are calmer, let's zoom out to the bigger picture. Why these small food shifts matter beyond the cramps. After 60, circulation slows, muscle mass declines, and the nerves that control movement lose some insulation. Each nutrient that steadies your legs also protects your heart, balance, and memory. The chain reaction of better blood flow. When magnesium and potassium levels normalize, blood vessels open just enough to feed muscles without pressure spikes. Calcium helps your heart beat evenly, pumping oxygen to tissues that used to starve during spasms. Many older adults notice side benefits: warmer feet, steadier steps, fewer dizzy spells on standing. It's not magic, it's biology finally in tune. Nancy, 70, from Seattle, joined her granddaughter for morning walks again after months of avoiding stairs. "My legs felt alive," she said, "like the ground wanted me there." That same month, she slept through every night and started baking again. The smell of cinnamon rolls now meant strength, not fatigue. What this means for a 50-plus listener: foods that prevent cramps also rebuild endurance, mood, and independence. Instruction block: the Stronger Legs Day Plan. First, begin your morning with hydration, water or herbal tea, and a pinch of salt if you sweat easily. Next, eat a balanced breakfast with fruit or oats for potassium and milk or yogurt for calcium. Then, during lunch, add greens and seeds for magnesium. Finally, end your day with a warm, mineral-rich meal like lentil stew or baked fish with vegetables, followed by a small yogurt snack. This steady intake keeps minerals flowing through your bloodstream, strengthening not just muscles, but the microvessels that feed them. Within weeks, many notice longer walks and fewer rest days needed after errands. If you've already started noticing changes, tell us what helped most: the food, the timing, or the calm that came with routine. Sharing details teaches others that healing isn't quick, but it's possible. As you near the end of this journey, imagine your legs 5 years from now, steady on uneven paths, strong enough to climb stairs without grabbing the rail, calm enough to let you sleep through an entire night without a single spasm. That vision is closer than you think. It's built meal by meal, mineral by mineral, habit by habit. From pain to power. Every person who's ever gripped their calf in the dark knows that first flash of helplessness. But each story here, Marjorie's, Gerald's, Anita's, Samuel's, ends the same way. A small daily step turns suffering into stability. Potassium quieted the signal, magnesium relaxed the muscle, calcium steadied the pulse. Together, they gave back trust in the body's rhythm. And that's the real victory, not the absence of pain, but the return of control. The ability to stretch your legs under the sheet and feel nothing, just peace. If you've watched or read this far, thank you. It means you care about your health and the freedom to move without fear. Try one of these habits tonight and write in the comments what difference you notice by morning. To those who haven't subscribed yet, I warmly invite you. Join the Senior Wisdom and Wellness family. Each week, we bring stories and science for your strength, sleep, memory, and balance. Until next time, keep your legs nourished, your heart open, and your nights restful. You deserve that stillness.